Western Illinois University in Macomb celebrates a long-standing tradition with their live mascot today. Colonel Rock IV, also known as Ray, celebrated his 6th birthday in the University Union at WIU. Now, this was an opportunity for people to stop to have their picture taken with him, enjoy a cupcake, and even sign his birthday card. Ray is the 4th live mascot at the university, all the way back, going back to 1959, and that's brought a lot of tradition and history to the school.
There's people out there that may not even set foot on campus, but when they see that dog, they know who it's affiliated with, and that's pretty cool and really special. Days like today really earmark that and showcase that because of the success we bring and the celebrations that we get to have.
What a cute little guy, and he looks very happy. Ray came to the university in June of 2018, all through the generosity of the Seiss family, Western Illinois University Foundation, and private donors.